You actually ended up with a video of a freak off with Diddy and 50's baby mother on your phone.
Yeah, he accidentally recorded on my phone, so it stayed there.
It stayed there.
Right.
And while you and I took a break, you actually showed me this video.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I was not prepared for what I saw in that video.
These tapes just hit the internet and they have completely shaken up the culture in ways that nobody was prepared for. 50 Cent is now at the center of one of the most talked about leaks in recent memory, and the fallout has left fans, blogs, and industry insiders absolutely speechless. And before you even think about scrolling past this video, I need you to understand something. This is not one of those stories where you read the headline and you already know everything. This is one of those situations where the deeper you go, the more your jaw drops, because every single layer of this story is wilder than the one before it. So if you have ever trusted us to bring you the real breakdown on a story, trust us right now and do not move until this video is over. Behind the empire, behind the bravado, behind the man who has spent 2 decades telling the world that nothing can touch him, there was a private moment, a very private moment, one that was never supposed to see the light of day. But because of one of the strangest mix-ups you will ever hear about in your life, it did. And the moment it did, everything changed. The conversation changed. The culture shifted. And now everybody from your favorite blogs to your group chat is talking about this nonstop. The shocking truth behind how this footage even got recorded, who was involved, and how it made its way from a private function to every phone screen in America is way more wild than anything the blogs have told you so far. They gave you the headline. We are about to give you the whole story. Every layer, every detail, every angle that the surface level coverage completely missed. And we are not stopping until you have the full picture. Yo, what is good, fam? Welcome back. Today we are diving deep into some real industry drama that has been shaking up the culture from the inside out. This is not just gossip. This is not just a rumor that somebody cooked up for clicks. This is a full breakdown of what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and what it means for everyone involved going forward. So sit tight, grab something to drink, get comfortable, because this one is going to take a minute and every single second of it is worth your time. Now, before we get into this wild ride, let me keep it 100 with y'all. The internet has been on absolute fire ever since these tapes dropped, and there's a whole lot of noise out there right now. A whole lot of speculation. A whole lot of people who have never been anywhere near this kind of situation suddenly acting like they have all the answers. A whole lot of accounts filling in the gaps with things they completely made up just to get engagement. But yo, that is not what we do here. We're about to separate the facts from the fiction, the real from the fake, the verified from the fabricated, so that when you walk away from this video, you actually understand what went down and why it matters. Just days ago, that is the time frame we are working with here. That is how fresh this is. These tapes were just leaked, as in recently, as in the internet had not seen this content before this week. And the moment they surfaced, every entertainment platform, every gossip blog, every comment section across every major social media app went completely and absolutely sideways. We are talking about footage connected to 50 Cent, one of the most powerful, most controversial, and most recognizable figures in the history of hip-hop, and the woman identified as one of his baby mothers, captured in a setting that was designed from the ground up to be completely off the record. Now hold up, before y'all start thinking this is just another celebrity scandal that is going to blow over in 2 days and get replaced by the next thing. The nature of how this footage got out is genuinely unlike anything we have covered before on this channel. And we have covered a lot. This is not someone selling a tape. This is not a hacker who broke into somebody's cloud storage. This is not a disgruntled ex with an agenda and a vendetta. According to the male adult content creator at the center of this story, what happened was something that sounds almost impossible when you first hear it. But the more you hear the details, the more it starts to make a deeply uncomfortable amount of sense. But here's where it gets real spicy, because we have got to set the full scene before we get to that part of the story. We're going to build this thing properly so you understand exactly how all the pieces connect. So check it. Let us start from the very beginning. The story starts at a private function, and not the kind of function that your average person gets invited to. Not a birthday party at somebody's house, not a cookout, not a club night where you buy a table and feel like you made it. We are talking about one of those exclusive, Invite-only gatherings that exist at the absolute highest levels of entertainment, sports, and industry wealth. No public venue, no open guest list floating around on social media. No camera stationed at the door snapping photos for the blogs to pick up the next morning. These are events where the location itself is sometimes kept confidential until the night of, where your invitation comes through a personal relationship, not a promoter, where the people in attendance feel completely and totally safe because everyone around them is supposedly on the same level, operating under the same unspoken understanding. What happens here stays here. That is the code. That is always the code at these types of gatherings. Now in the industry, we know these types of functions have been going on forever. They are not new. They are not some recent phenomenon. For as long as there has been wealth and fame concentrated in entertainment circles, there have been private spaces where the people inside those circles gather away from the public eye and let their guards down in ways they never could in public. There is socializing, there is networking, business gets done, connections get made, and yes, there is a level of personal freedom and personal behavior that people in these circles feel entitled to because they believe, genuinely believe, that they are surrounded by people they can trust completely. The vibe at these functions is intentionally private, intentionally insulated from the outside world. The entire point is that what happens inside those walls does not travel beyond them. But here is where this particular story is different from every other private gathering situation we have seen surface in recent years. And believe me, we have seen several. The breach in this case did not happen because someone decided to violate the code on purpose. It did not happen because someone was trying to make money off of what they witnessed. It did not happen the way you would expect it to happen based on every other story like this that you have ever heard. What happened here was something else entirely. And that is exactly what makes this situation so wild to try to wrap your head around. Now let us talk about what these functions actually look like from the inside. Because a lot of people watching this video have heard the word function thrown around but might not fully understand what that means in this context. And that context matters a lot for understanding how something like this recording situation could even happen. These gatherings are typically held in spaces that offer complete privacy. Private estates, rented luxury properties, penthouses where the entire floor has been secured, locations where the surrounding environment is controlled and monitored. The guest list is small and curated. Every person in that room got there because someone with access vouched for them personally. That vouching process is supposed to be the filter. It is supposed to be the guarantee that everyone present understands and respects the rules of that space. At these functions, people move differently than they do in public. They speak more freely. They behave more freely. They are operating in what they believe is a consequence-free environment, a space where their public image does not have to be maintained because there is no public watching. For celebrities specifically, this is incredibly rare because the moment you step outside your front door as a famous person, you are performing in some capacity. You are aware of how you look, how you carry yourself, what you say, who is watching. At a private function of this nature, that pressure lifts, and people make choices in those spaces that they would never make anywhere else. Now that context right there, fam, is critical to understanding the rest of this story, because it explains why someone like 50 Cent would even be in a situation where footage of him and his baby mother could potentially be captured. It explains the environment. It explains the level of trust and comfort that would have to exist for something like this to happen. And it sets up the moment that changed everything. So the male adult content creator, let us talk about him, because his presence at this function is itself a significant detail. His being there tells you something specific about the nature of this particular gathering and what kind of event it was. He was there, according to his own account, in a professional capacity, and he came forward after the tape surfaced to explain exactly how the recording happened. And his explanation is the detail that has had the entire internet completely divided. He said he picked up the wrong phone. Now let that sink in for a full minute, fam. Of all the explanations you might have anticipated for how footage like this makes it out to the world, a phone mix-up is probably not the first thing that comes to mind. But that is exactly what he is claiming. And here is the full breakdown of how he says it went down. He was at the function. At some point during the event, he needed to use his phone. He reached for a device that was nearby, a device that looked identical to his own. Same model, same color, same size. Same basic appearance in every way that matters when you are in a dimly lit room full of people and you are not thinking carefully about verifying which device belongs to whom. He grabbed it. He started recording. and he had absolutely no idea in that moment that the phone in his hand was not his. Here is where it gets even more layered. He did not catch the mistake immediately after recording either. He did not look down at the screen and realize something was off. He did not notice an unfamiliar home screen or an unknown set of apps. He just kept moving through the function, operating under the assumption that everything was fine, that the footage was on his own device, that the situation was under his control. It was only later when the truth became clear that the magnitude of what had accidentally happened started to reveal itself. The footage was on someone else's phone. Footage that captured 50 Cent and his baby mother in extremely private moments, on a device that did not belong to the person who recorded it. And once that footage existed on that device, the chain of events that followed is what led it from that private function to the internet. Now, this is where the Diddy comparison started getting made on mine, and we need to address that directly because it has been part of the conversation around this story from the jump. The comparison people are drawing is not about the specific legal situations, because those are entirely different. What people are referencing is the broader pattern, the idea that private recordings made at private functions involving powerful entertainment figures can escape those controlled environments through indirect, unexpected, and sometimes accidental means. The Diddy situation opened up a massive national conversation about what goes on behind the closed doors of elite gatherings and how recordings from those spaces can surface in ways that nobody anticipated. And now here we are again, having a version of that same conversation, this time with 50 Cent's name attached to it. The adult content creator made specific note of the fact that the phone he accidentally picked up was essentially identical to his own. And in that environment, at that function, with everything happening around him, there was no reason for him to double check. He thought he had his phone. He was wrong. And that single mistake, that one moment of accidental confusion, is the origin point of this entire scandal. Real talk, when you sit with that detail for a moment, it is genuinely one of the most uncomfortable parts of this story, because it means this was not malicious. It was not calculated. It was not a setup designed to expose anyone. It was an accident, a random, unfortunate, privacy-destroying accident that happened because two phones looked too much alike in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the person at the center of it is now dealing with consequences that are completely disproportionate to the level of intent involved. The real kicker, though, is what all of this means for everybody whose life is now touched by this situation. Because this is not a story with one victim and one villain. This is a story with multiple people caught in the blast radius of something that nobody fully controlled. Let us start with the baby mother, because in all the noise and all the memes and all the commentary flooding the internet right now, her experience is the one that deserves the most serious attention. This is a woman who was at a private gathering, a woman who had every reasonable expectation that her privacy would be respected in that space. She was not performing for a camera. She was not consenting to being recorded. She was living her private life in what she believed was a private environment. And now footage of her most personal moments is available for millions of strangers to consume, share, comment on, and judge. That is a violation. Full stop. No amount of celebrity adjacent status changes that reality. No amount of who she is connected to changes what it feels like to have your privacy stripped away on a global scale. For y'all who might not fully understand what that experience is like, let me explain. When something like this happens to a person, it does not just affect them in the moment. It follows them. It changes how they trust people. It changes how they feel in their own body. It creates a kind of hyper-awareness that is exhausting to carry. Every time someone looks at them, they wonder what that person is seeing, what they are thinking, what judgment they are making. And for a woman who was already in the public eye because of her connection to one of the most famous men in the world, the additional scrutiny that comes with something like this is almost impossible to fully imagine. Now let us talk about 50 Cent himself, because his position in this story is genuinely complex. The man has built an entire brand around being untouchable, around being the person who turns every attack into a win, around being impossible to embarrass or derail, and the internet has been watching very carefully to see how he responds to this one, because this is different from anything he has faced before. This ain't a rap beef. This ain't an industry dispute. This is not something he can clown on social media and walk away from looking like he came out on top. This involves the mother of his child. It involves his family in the most personal and direct way possible. And even the people who have backed 50 Cent through every controversy of his career, are acknowledging that this one requires a different kind of response than what he has given to challenges in the past. The streets been talking about this for years, fam. The culture has known for a long time that the infrastructure for this kind of situation exists. People in these circles understood the risk in theory. They just believed the protections around their specific gatherings were strong enough to keep that risk theoretical. And over again, that belief keeps getting proven wrong. For those who know the culture, you understand that the unspoken code at these functions was always only as strong as the most careless moment that could happen inside them. It did not require a traitor. It did not require someone with bad intentions. All it required was one mistake, a phone that looked like another phone, a moment of confusion in a busy room. That is all it took to bring the whole thing down. At the end of the day, this situation involving 50 Cent is not just about one tape or one leak or one private moment that went public. It is about power and the limits of it. It is about privacy and how fragile it actually is in the world we are living in right now. It is about the culture that exists around elite entertainment gatherings and the false sense of security that has always surrounded them. It is about a woman whose most personal moments were exposed to the world without her knowledge or consent. And it is about one accidental moment, a phone that looked exactly like another phone that set off a chain of events that nobody in that room could have predicted or controlled. The real question now is what comes next. Do the people involved pursue legal action around the distribution of this content? Does 50 Cent address this fully and publicly, or does he navigate it the way he navigates everything, on his own terms and in his own time? Does the adult content creator face any consequences for his role in this, even if that role was entirely accidental? And does this story end up being another turning point in the broader conversation about privacy, consent, and what happens behind the closed doors of the entertainment world? This story is still very much developing, fam. More details are going to come out. More responses are going to be made, and we are going to be right here to break all of it down for you the moment it surfaces. What are your thoughts on everything we just covered? Do you believe the phone mix-up story, or does something about it feel off to you? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments right now, because I genuinely want to know where y'all stand on this one. And click on the video on screen for more content just like this. We will see you in the next one. Stay locked in.